Okay, welcome everybody to this pullback trading guide where we'll be going in depth into how to trade pullbacks, what pullback trading is, and what it kind of looks like in practice and how you can apply it to your trading. Now, I wouldn't say that this solely should be a method of investing. I'm just going to turn volume off here, or a method of taking your trades, but rather it should be something that also informs your trading with these concepts that I'm about to explain here, including concepts like order blocks, etc., that you can use and apply to your trading to add further confirmation to your other trading ideas. Getting an edge in the market or your trading approach is best done through collecting different ways to trade from all these different methodologies and all these different ways people trade, right? So smart money concepts, or whether you like looking at MAs or whatever you like looking at. So these are just some things that are used in pullback trading, in my methodology of pullback trading, that I think would be of value, to most people that are looking into getting trading. It's a very simple methodology. So yeah, let's just dive in here. I think the best thing to remember with pullback trading is that you do want a trending market in a certain direction. You don't want to be trading a choppy market. So this might be an imperfect example because we are in a relatively choppy market here and the trend is downwards. And the example I'll be using here is once this market kind of has a change of character, right? Because we can see kind of this support area here. So this is off topic, but we have the support area here. So I'll be looking for a first bounce off the support area. That is kind of a criteria on why I personally would be looking at a change of character down here, which indeed occurs. Yes, this is pre-selected of a trade that I had previously looked at about a year ago. So, and obviously will be obviously it's not a in practice trade, and it's kind of a pre-selected trade that I know about, so it is not in real time. Obviously we're in the playback tool, replay tool. So let's just kind of dive in here and get into the nitty-gritty of pullback trading. So essentially, first of all, we're looking at is some trend, right? So what we can see here is essentially the structure of the market is a downtrend with a down, a significant move, or significant in quotes, right? Down, a flag, and then we're down here consolidating right now to see if we go down again or whatever we do, right? So we kind of see it hold up and we see a break of structure here, right? So a change of character or break of structure, whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to call it a break of structure, where the structure that is downward structure, which is again the moves that are going down, this is holding up this down structure, and this is now broken to the upside, giving the market a change of character, indicating that the market might want to continue to move this way, essentially doing what it did here, but then the other way, right? So since this downward structure is broken, we can now expect this to trend upwards, right? And that is when the pullback trading actually begins. So let's just kind of play it out here. Now, what you could do, what you might select is say, hey, look, I want to be looking for a long already here. That could be your first pullback trade in this example, and we can just like kind of let this play out and see if anything happens. But let's see, probably not from how I remember this. No, I don't think so indeed. So we kind of see this also get broken now. So now we have further confirmation of this uptrend continuing, right? So it's a break of structure. So now the structure is extremely quote unquote broken, if that makes sense. And we'll be looking for an actual pullback area that I find more likely than down here. I really think this is a very untested area. So we want to see some mitigation of this zone. So kind of getting it tested. And what I tend to do is go up to the 4 hour, and one way to select order blocks, and I'm going to be doing an order block course here in a minute, so keep an eye out for that, is select the bottom of the wick when it is such a long wick such as this, and kind of select this as our order block. So this is where we're looking for price action to come back into this zone to retest it before we continue to go up, and that would be the pullback and the trade, and again continuation to the upside. Maybe not all the way up here, but you get the point. So we'll be going back down to the 1 hour. chart, and yeah, kind of waiting here. Now, before we get there, I'm going to get into two types of orders you can put within your order blocks. That is a top of order block order, where you essentially have your limit orders, or maybe a market order, depending on how much time you spend at the chart, put at the top of the order block, where when price comes into it, you're tapped in here, risking more if price does what I just drew out, right? So you're tapped in and it might do this or break down again. You're risking a lot more than the next option, which is 50% into your order block. Now, some people like to go in with a Fibonacci tool and look for the 50% mark. I think we all have a relative understanding of what halfway through would be, so I don't think it has to be perfect. And you kind of put your order 50% into the order block. The benefits and drawbacks are kind of that here you're risking more, but you're more likely to be tapped in. Here you're risking 50% less, so a lot less. But when it comes to RR, of course, your trade size might be the same. But when it comes to RR, you're risking 50% less, although at the same time, you do have the fact that sometimes price doesn't quite pull back to the 50%. It might pull back right there to right here, and you're just not tapped in, or maybe it does just this and it doesn't come even close, or maybe it literally just does that and it just taps you in at the top of your order block and not even close to your 50%. So those are your two options, and what we'll do here is just kind of leave these two here. Now, this is not the TP with pullback trading, but we'll kind of leave the orders there as an example once we reach the order block with price, and then see which one gets tapped in, etc. So we kind of let price play out here. It continues to rally without us. That's no problem. We're still expecting our order block to get tested. Now you see some weakness. This might be when you're actually getting interested and you put those limit and market orders, because you do expect this weakness to continue to the downside and get this market order filled or limit order filled. So we see some real weakness. You see that my first order at the top of the order block has been tapped in, and my 50% mark has not yet been tapped in. Now let's see if price reacts strongly here, or it actually comes to tap me in at the 50%. Now, at this point, when it comes to TPs, what I tend to do is you just put it right above the previous one with a sense of feeling for it. So it's not a rigid TP model. I'm going to go over how exactly to put perfect TPs, but this is just kind of with pullback trading with this methodology, where it's more about picking the order blocks in this course. I will be getting into TPs in more depth, but essentially you do not want to overreach with TPs, and you want to go to areas that have a general chance of resistance. So as you can see here, we have some support turn to resistance, etc. over the long run. So right here is a perfect zone. You also, during pullback trading, you're expecting this trend to continue. You're expecting something like this, right? So essentially expect a higher high to be set in and a higher low to be set in continuously during pullback trading, and that's what we're looking for here. So essentially right above here is fine, and additionally I would put multiple TPs, which could be, for example, right here could be one, and then I usually like to put one right in the top. If you were to trade lower time frames, this would be a nice order block, but in this case, if you're trading towards the downside, of course, and then this might be another nice TP that I would look at. And then maybe one early TP to kind of lock in those profits could be right about here, due to these levels being resistance, etc. You see some consolidation here, you see some consolidation right under the zone, and so you can kind of put multiple TPs. I usually like 1 to 4, the fourth being, of course, the top TP, and this way you kind of, TPs are take profits, of course, and this way you kind of have a guaranteed of profits throughout your trade. So here you can see that the 50% mark is not tapped in, while the top of the order block order is in fact tapped in. So let's just kind of delete all this, delete this, and let this let this trade kind of play out, and then see if we can get a second trade kind of. So let's let that play out. Boom, and there you see, right? So now the profit is taken, and a new high has been set so far. So this is when you kind of start looking for your next pullback. So you You can delete your order. You can delete your unless you like keeping them on. I personally don't, but we can leave the order block for now. And this is when you kind of start looking for where could potentially that next order block be. I would select this little last down move before the real up move, right? So you can see that there's a down move here and the up move began. We got one more like consolidation flag kind of pattern down move before the up move began. And this is kind of where I would select our next order block excuse me, for this pullback to come into and tap us in. So what I'll do again is kind of put this top of order block order in, and then the same thing for the 50% mark, more or less. And then kind of just draw them out like this for now, because we don't know where our TP is going to be since price hasn't played out. So there we go. We're seeing some, you see some volatility come in and weakness slowly making its way to our order block. This is where I'm really expecting it very soon to come down into that order, and just not tapped in. Looks like we won't get tapped in on this. Yeah, right. So it doesn't look like we're going to get tapped in. We're still expecting a new high to kind of get set. Yeah, so that's kind of thing, right? You won't always get tapped in. I think that's a crucial thing to understand, that you're gonna miss some trades because not always this might not have been the perfect order block, or there's a bunch of reasons why you won't get tapped in. So this is a perfect example of not being able to get tapped in on every trade. Yeah, we can leave this order block kind of drawn out if that is of interest to you guys. Now we're still looking for a new high to get set, since this is still a nice pullback, but it just didn't quite reach the levels that we would have liked to get into down here, or well, a bit higher up, but that's kind of irrelevant now. You saw that we didn't get tapped in, and then we just kind of waited out. And we can already expect this to pop here, and now we're looking for that next order block, which I would say this would be the perfect tiny order block. And again, this order block trading is very risk mitigating, right? Because you're really picking the lowest boundaries that if it doesn't tap you in at the top of this order block, you're gonna miss the trade. And why are we selecting such low order blocks, or such order blocks that are, yeah, I guess far-fetched? The reason is that it is a very risk mitigating trade strategy. We're not trying to get into every trade. We're trying to get into the best possible risk to reward trades, and that is a lot more so for the person that is entering halfway through, right? So in this case, this person, maybe you are risk averse and you want to enter low, then this is your strategy. Then doing these entries, I mean the 50% entries, is going to be your thing comparatively to this. But nonetheless, whatever type of pullback trading you're doing with these order blocks is very risk-free. It's relatively risk-free, since you're picking the lowest possible entries for the best possible returns, putting in a new high essentially. So let's continue, let price play out here for a second and see where it wants to go. So here we're seeing some weakness, so we can expect it to come down to this order block. And there you go. Tapped into that top of the order block order. It has been tapped in, while the 50% once again has not been tapped in. So here you can see that once, if you do this, you're risking more, but you are essentially getting tapped in a lot more, while the dude that's trading with 50%, or if you're trading with the 50% mark, you're gonna get a lot less trades. So now again, we're gonna just put this up above here, and we can also just like show again how I would pick these take profit areas, and one of them would be right here. Right, we can see some taps at this area, a nice price point of 718 that I think is a pretty good take profit area. Then to kind of get early profits, yeah, I would definitely say, or just like a bit later profits would be up here to get that fourth in. If I were to be putting a fourth, yeah, I might just put in right here under this first area to get those first profits taken. And yeah, and ultimately, of course, up here. So this whole thing is kind of like letting it free run, despite there being like an order block up here. Maybe I'm not too interested in that. I just want to get that high. I'm taking most of my profits below here. So essentially, what you could do, just to explain that part, which I think I skipped earlier, is like you could do like 25% here, 25% here, 25 here, and 25 at your final TP. And if you're more like you just want profits and let it run and just never have a headache about it, you could take 50% your first 25, or 50 and take 20, and take 10, and then let 20 run to the end and see if you ever get there, and just kind of chase the stops, kind of like that, or whatever your style is. I'll get into best risk mitigating strategies later in some other video or some other miniature course that I'll make. I'll write that down. So again, let's let price do its thing, play out here, see kind of what it wants to do, right? And it just kind of does its thing. We'll just drag this out in case we don't make it there. There you go, right? So TP's hit, and we'll delete this one. So we've had 3 order blocks, one of which was never tapped in, so we can kind of cross this one through, and one of which, the first one was hit, and the first one was hit, and the second one was not. So we're just gonna make sure that 50% mark wasn't hit, 50% mark wasn't hit, neither was hit, right? Now that we've hit, kind of, I can delete this, it's kind of irrelevant. Now that we hit this, we're looking for another order block again. And this is an interesting scenario in which we had this gap down, after which we kind of recovered, set in that last down move before the up move after a gap. So it's a very perfect situation because you really get a clear final last order block, right? So this really was our best potential order block to be entering here. So we can see some trades there. Yeah, so this is like the best potential order block, since it's super clear that if it breaks below this order block rather, you're going to see further breakdown back to this like range kind of order block we have here that's now kind of set this range idea that this is kind of the support for. But ultimately what we want to see, of course, is this to come into this and set a new high. But let's see what price action does and whether it taps us in. So we're just going to draw our orders again at the top of the order block, and then another order at the 50% mark of the order block, and see who gets tapped in, etc. Let price play out, kind of let it do its thing. So it continues to run. So most of these trades, you can see that, like with this one, we took profits right here and it ran a lot more, but we're not going for max profits. Now you could just leave a runner, that's up to you. I just take the profits. Here again, this one we didn't get tapped in, but if you had get tapped in and we put our TP right above here, you had a little bit more run room, but overall pretty clean. And this one again, we took profits right here, and you see that we run another bit, so to speak. So let's see. Let's just wait out. So you can see we're still running up, right? So let's see. Yeah, so you can see that, like, despite us being tapped into this and taking our profits here, we ran another double that, essentially. So let's see here. We'll just drag these ones out. Whoops. We'll just drag these 2 out to see if we get tapped in. Excuse the wait. It's just how the markets work, right? So for most of these, limit orders are going to be the key, because you can just kind of sit there once you see this weakness and not have to do what I'm doing now. And there you can see we're tapped into the top trade and the bottom trade and not getting stopped out of it, right? Not yet, at least. So yeah, you can definitely see that both of these trades in this case have been tapped into. So both the 50% trade and the top of the order block order trade have been tapped into currently, and we kind of want to see some confirmation to the upside that we are indeed going to run up. So again, we put the take profits above these areas, whether you take the 50% or the top of the order block trade, doesn't really matter. We'll just let this run and hit our TP, our final TP. I can draw where I would put the intermediary or secondary TPs as well in a second here. Boom, and final TP hit. We'll just drag this out to kind of show you that it was hit. Where I would draw if you go like, of course in hindsight it's easier, but we're just gonna say like, oh, we just got tapped in, and we want to get these TP levels kind of drawn out. I would say the first easiest one is just here. This is like to be risk free for us to trade. The next one would be up here. I would just kind of leave this all open, because once you conquer this, it's kind of just like a free fall. So I would say maybe up here, and then yeah, the final TP. So these are kind of levels I would look at for TPs here. And then again, we can just let it play out, and then that would be hit, that would be hit, and yeah, there you go. And then ultimately the final one hit, blah blah blah. So that's essentially it. Now we can continue to go on and see if there's another pullback trade, but I think the gist is clear now. And then yeah, as a finality, what I would like to cover real quick is the difference between limit orders and market orders. So let's just use this as an example where we can just look back to here. We have this clear order block drawn out with our market order, or with our top of the order block order, and our 50% mark order. And when you take a look at them, one is a lot less risk when it comes to your RR ratio, which is the 50% one over here, and one is more risk, and therefore I would possibly like confirmation when I take this trade. So by that I mean go down to the lower time frames, or kind of zoom in and look for confirmation that within your order block, so within this order block, we are seeing a change of character or a break of structure like we spoke about earlier. So what does this look like? Right, so we kind of just zoom in. You can go to lower time frames if you want, but I think it's pretty clear here. You kind of have this structure where it's down, 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 and here you go up and up. Right, so you can see that there's this change of character in the market. If I were to go to the lower time frame, it's extremely clear to me, especially if I were to go to the 50-minute or something, that what is happening here is this downtrend is suddenly now turning into this uptrend. So this kind of confirms that I am able to enter the trade essentially within this order block comfortably at the top of my order block without, so as a market order, right? So as a person, me sitting by my computer, if I have that time, then I can be more comfortable in these trades because I can see on the lower time frame there's a change of character. Otherwise, I would, if you're just doing limit orders and you want to be away from your computer, I would recommend just entering at the 50% mark. You miss a lot more trades, but you are also entering less, so you're entering less trades and you're entering less risky trades because there's so much, your RR is better, so to speak. If you have the time for it, enter market orders, especially the top of the order block ones are great for market orders because you can see, like I just said, this confirmation that now I'd be comfortable entering this trade with a market order that I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely looking for a long here because this looks like great price action which within my order block, so to speak. So yeah, that is something I want to speak about just briefly, that there's pros and cons to both, but essentially confirmation, or being able to look for confirmation of your trade going your direction, is something you can only do if you do market orders, right? And that kind of adds a lot of benefit to it in general. So that's something I just want to briefly cover here as well, to see kind of what might be better for you. It's very much dependent on what amount of time you spend at the computer trading, and yeah, whether you just want to be the person who puts in a limit order, whether at the top of the order block or at like the halfway mark, and just says, hey, I'm going to have a great time today. And if I enter this trade, I trust my pullback trading method that each of these trades is just going to enter. I'm just going to enter it and make a profit. And if I lose, I lose. It is what it is. I don't need a confirmation. I don't want to be my computer. But yeah, so those are essentially the points. I hope that helped somewhat or gave you some insight into how you might want to change your trading strategy or add this to your trading strategy. It isn't, well, it is, it could be surely, but it isn't meant to be solely this trading strategy you rely on. And if you do want it to be, which I completely understand, is a trading strategy I've used certainly in trending markets before. What I would say is kind of look deeper in order blocks. Shoot me a DM on Twitter. I can explain things further, and kind of just like, yeah, do more research on order blocks and these type of things to kind of learn how to detect great order blocks. And I'm going to have a free course on that, but you're going to have some patience with me because it might take another month or so until that is out. I'm working on it. It should take 2 to 4 weeks max, but I will be doing an order block course, and additionally I will be doing a Fibonacci course, so kind of keep your eye out for that one as well. And and remember that getting your own trading strategy, getting your own edge is so much dependent on learning more things like this order block pullback strategy, where you're getting to learn new things and adding elements of what you're learning to your strategy, creating this unique strategy to the market, rather than being like, hey, I saw the smart money concept pullback trading strategy and that's how I trade. With years experience in the market, I can definitely say that I've tried copying other people's strategies and being like, oh, what he does, that's what I want to do. But I've automatically reverted back to something I'm actually good at and comfortable with. So this isn't the only thing I use in my trading strategy. As you've seen in this video, I had break of structures, I had change of character, I had support and resistance that I mentioned briefly with this support forming up, and these type of things that I do also look at because that is how I trade. So essentially, just to wrap it up, make sure you don't, or not don't, but make sure you keep looking for new elements in your trading strategy as a general tip to add to your trading strategy, and then getting your edge on the market rather than trying to copy somebody else's. So yeah, good luck out there. I look forward to you guys giving me any feedback and joining the community. Again, but for the first time, there's a link down below. You can sign up to my newsletter where I give weekly insights on Saturday mornings about the market. And additionally, what you can do is go to the website boomish.org, where I share these free strategies. And I also have a course coming up that is actually paid, where I go over my exact strategy and how I picked elements of different strategies, combine them to create today's strategy that I have at Boomish Capital. So again, thank you for watching. Take a good look through all the content I have. Take a good look at the links below, and kind of, pick your poison. Good luck, traders.